Hi, Katie.
Hi, Teresa.
It's so nice to see you today.
You too.
I'm really looking forward to this conversation today. I just want to welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us for our first ever Q&A with Catie Marolt. As we're getting started, please go ahead and drop your name and your location into the comment box. It's really fun to see where everybody's from, and it's a great way to get us started and feel like we're all in the same room, even though we can't all see each other. My name is Teresa Stockdale, and I helped curate the relational marketing engagement and process for admissions here at Quantic, along with our tuition benefits initiatives, and most recently, our alumni advocate programs. And I'm so excited to kick off our time with you all today. I'd love to continue this conversation in the future. I believe the reason why we are all on social platforms is to be social and to make meaningful connections, all while creating thriving network spaces. So please feel free to connect with me here on LinkedIn, and I'd be happy to answer any other marketing engagement or career-related questions that you have. As for today, our session will be about 45 minutes long, and it's recorded. So if you need to come back and watch, it's not a problem. My wonderful colleague, Kelsey Duggan, is here behind the scenes producing, and she'll be highlighting questions. So I want to give her a shout out. Thank you, Kelsey, for everything you're doing to help us with this event today. Before I introduce Katie, know that we want our time together to be productive. This is a Q&A after all. So we'll be asking Katie some questions, but we also want to be answering your questions throughout. So please feel free to jump in, ask your questions. We'll address them as we go along. And we'll also take some time at the end to make sure that we're catching all of your questions. We know we likely have current Quantic students here with us today, prospective Quantic students, and alumni in this chat, which means we have participation from all over the globe. Hopefully you're already seeing that in the comment box. And like I said earlier, please feel free to just begin typing your questions as we move along. But we want to start with a quick question about you, our audience, so we know who's out there. If you're a current Quantic student, type 1 into the chat along with your favorite course so far. If you are a Quantic alum, type 2 into the chat along with a short description of your favorite part of the Quantic experience. If you're a prospective student, Quantic, or if you're considering other MBA programs, type 3 into the chat, along with what might be interesting you to pursue your MBA. And if you're simply here for a fun conversation or your friends or colleagues with Katie or any of us, just type 4 into the comment box. And I hope you're enjoying this. Katie, let's just start with you. Which number would you have chosen?
I'm number 2. I'm a happy and proud Quantic alumni. I was part of the May 2022 cohort, so I graduated about 6 months ago, and I'm excited to be here today. Thank you all for joining.
So for those of you who aren't familiar with Quantic, just a brief description. We're known as the modern MBA and the future of education. So it's no surprise that Katie joined us for our degree program. Our MBA was founded by Tom Adams. He's the CEO who successfully led Rosetta Stone through their IPO. Our program is selective, flexible, and fully sponsored by an increasing number of top global employers. Our students, like Katie, hail from top universities, top employers, and about 155 countries around the world. We now are approaching about 20,000 students and alumni. Our students are lifelong learners. They're forward thinkers, and they're focused on impacting the world around us for good. And with that brief intro about Quantic, I can't wait to introduce Katie. Katie is a proud Quantic graduate. and is currently working as an enterprise agile coach at Bank of America. She's worked in all areas of the technology industry since first starting her own web company 14 years ago. So let's just jump right in, Catie. Can you tell us a little bit about what your day-to-day looks like at Bank of America?
Absolutely. Nice to meet you all. I'm live from Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm here in my office with my dog, Teddy. You might hear him snoring next to me. I currently work at Bank of America. I'm an enterprise agile coach and senior release train engineer. I'm also the delivery lead for enterprise architecture and engineering for data management technology. So like I said, no day is the same for me. I work with a lot of high-level strategy in terms of implementing DevOps and different processes and strategies across our organization. I do a lot of coaching at the team, program, and portfolio level, helping all of our teams to innovate and to scale as leanly as possible.
Yeah, Catie, I remember when I first talked with you, I couldn't believe everything that you were working on, and it's fun to have you share with everybody else all that you're doing while you decided to undertake an MBA as well. How do you spend your time when you aren't working?
When I'm not working, which seems to be less and less time these days, I have a lot of passions as well. I'm an avid reader. I love to meditate. I am a scuba diver, so I love traveling all over the world. And I hang out with my dog, Teddy, a lot. So yeah, a little bit about me. The other fun thing I will say, and one of the main reasons I wanted to specifically get an MBA from Quantic was to kind of beef up my entrepreneurial skills. And so I have started a consulting company. That's been very fun and enlightening for me as well.
It's surprising how many people who've gone through our program started their own ventures as a result of the capstone project and didn't even intend to. I'm seeing that we have students and alumni here. So if anybody else has undertaken their own ventures, share a little bit about that in the chat as well, please. As you may have guessed from the subject title of this event, Catie is one of our pioneer alumni advocates. And even though this is a new program, we get frequent questions about what is our alumni advocate program. So I'll take a few minutes just to share a little bit about that. It's a new initiative here at Quantic. And to get started, what we did was select 10 outstanding Quantic graduates to launch the program. And we plan to expand this program purposefully and intentionally in 2023. Our Quantic alumni advocates are forward thinkers with exceptional academic and career accomplishments. They are vital catalysts in expanding awareness and access to the Quantic degree and community. Catie, we are so thrilled that you are accepted our invitation to join this first group. As you already know, being part of the Pioneer Alumni Advocate team means that you're influential and forming what the program will be at scale as we roll it out. So we are incredibly grateful that you've chosen to add this onto the list of to your busy schedule. So let's just start with some questions, Catie. And the first one will be a little more fun. What is your go-to drink or snack while working? And for our audience, please feel free to list yours in the comment box as well.
My go-to snack, I might get a little bit of hate for this. I love a goldfish snack cracker. They're quick, they're easy, and you can sneak it in even if you're on a Zoom or video call. So I love something like that. My go-to drink is not that exciting. It's definitely just water. But yeah, excited to hear what about you, Teresa?
Well, I have I'm not doing so well. My 64-ounce bottle of water here today, and but it will be gone by like 5 o'clock. So it's my healthy habit. I got a little off track during COVID and trying to get back on track here.
Didn't we all?
How about Catie? Another question for you. Can you tell us about your career journey and what led you to become interested in an MBA?
Absolutely. So I know we've touched on a few things so far, where I am now and a little bit about my background. I started in technology about 14 or 15 years ago. I actually started a web company. Back then, it was kind of like an early Uber Eats or Postmates. If you guys are familiar with any of the online food delivery platforms, it might have been a little bit before its time, in its early inception days, but that really sparked a lot of my technical curiosity at the time. I had worked and hired an outside agency to develop all the code for me, our platform, things like that. And it kind of sparked a lot of ideas. And also, I really wanted to learn how to code. So I kind of took that as my launching pad. I learned a lot from that venture, and I got into more corporate level technology. I've done everything from development. I've worked on the product side. I've done project and program management, and I've pretty much done every role under the Agile umbrella. So I've been a Scrum Master, a product owner, release train engineer, and Agile coach. And I really like it. It's something that affords me the opportunity to do something new every day, and also new challenges. So I deal with and work on a lot of technical challenges, but I also deal with the people side of things as well. So my blended background has really helped me there. And the reason that I was really interested in Quantic, I actually followed Quantic online for a few years on all their social media and all the different publications about them. Have always wanted to get an MBA. I'm a firm believer that education is the best investment you can make in yourself. It's the only thing no one can take away from you, and you can take and build on anywhere you go. So I've always had little entrepreneurial ventures on the side. I've started a few other little web companies and things like that, but nothing that was really a massive undertaking. And so I wanted to get my MBA. I honestly felt like there were some very specific skills where I needed to round out my understanding of. And I know that a lot of my colleagues and peers, whether you have an entrepreneurial spirit or you are very happy working in the corporate world or working in a company, everybody can benefit from rounding out their skills and having more of that general knowledge, but at a very high level. So that's why I chose Quantic, aside from obviously all of the modern MBA, wonderful things that go with that, the fact that you can learn on the go, that I can tailor it to my schedule. I think that the other thing that I really love is that Quantic is unique in the fact that you're committing to the entire program. You don't just take a course and then decide next semester if you're going to sign up or not. And I think for other busy professionals or professionals with children, I have so many friends and colleagues that wanted to get a degree, but life happens along the way and they're like, oh, I'll just pick this up a few years down the road. They didn't really follow through with it. So one thing that's absolutely great about Quantic is you're on an accelerated schedule, but you're committed for the long haul. And I think that style of learning really helps people to go the distance and then immediately be able to use their skills after they graduate.
It's so true. And quite often when I've spoken with people who are interested in our program with a tech background, they're asking like, well, why would I need this? But it really is those generalist skills and being able to speak that language so that you understand what somebody in marketing is trying to work on. And it really helps with cross collaboration. I'm noticing in the chat, Alexandria has had a question that might relate to some of your experience too, Catie. So I'd love to ask this now, but which lesson or which course most resonated with you in your role as an RTE?
That's a great question. And I would say I took a little bit from every course in my day-to-day of what I do, but I would probably say corporate level strategy would be the one that resonated. A lot of what I do is person to person, but most of what I do is at kind of a higher level of scale. So for those of you that don't know, a release train is essentially a team of teams. So we have teams that develop applications or technology or software. A train is a big team of teams. So on my release train that I run now, I have 17 teams. And then we are part of a larger organization where we have 119 teams that I help. So the corporate level strategy really resonated with me of how can I better create an integrated environment and how can I start kind of building bridges across the silos that we have in a large organization. And I think that it taught me a lot.
We have some nice comments here for you, Catie. One person says they love hearing about your entrepreneurial spirit. Robert says, what you just shared sounds like his story, but better phrased. I would enjoy that comment as well. Let's move on to another question too. What are you doing now after graduation? And what excites you about your current roles as you integrate what you've learned with the MBA program?
That's a great question. So I think I mentioned earlier, I graduated in May of this year. Honestly, time flies by. That honestly feels much farther in the past, but in a really positive way. I think that in terms of starting my consulting company, that would probably be the biggest milestone that I'm proud and excited about. I have started so many other small ventures in the past, and in looking at things in hindsight, I think that I, in some cases, gave up too early, or some cases, maybe timing wasn't right. But the one belief that I really hold true is that being ready is a decision. You're never going to be in life for your MBA, if you're thinking, when is going to be the perfect time? There is no perfect time. You can always come up with limiting beliefs or a list of excuses. Life comes at you fast, and I'm a very ambitious person. I could give you a list a mile long of reasons why it wasn't the perfect time for my MBA or wasn't the perfect time for me to start my consulting company. But I just decided that now was the time, and I went for it. And I think that getting my MBA, it was such a positive experience for me. I learned and grew with so many of my peers. I networked all over the world. And once I completed that, I actually started my company before I finished my MBA, but I wasn't really doing things. I was kind of doing like the start a company, make it legal, make it an entity, those type of things, but not necessarily actually going out to try and make sales or grow my company. That happened a mix of organically and actively, but I just keep pushing myself to always hold that mindset true. I think that, again, I was nervous about starting something big on my own. And do I have the time for it? The answer is really no. I spent a lot of nights working until midnight, but now I have something really great to show for it. So for any of you guys interested in that, I would say there's never a right time, and being ready is a decision. So you can decide today to be one decision better than you are right now. You're always just one decision away from creating a better version of yourself and a better life for yourself.
That's really helpful. I want to learn more about what your consulting company does, but we have a question here, and to our audience, please feel free to jump in with your questions at any point. I really like a question that we have here from Andy. In retrospect, what advice would you give to current students? Are there some courses that you would recommend as areas of focus? So maybe strategic thinking is one of those, but what advice would you have for current students, Catie?
I honestly get this question all the time. I can't see who all has joined, but I imagine that I'm connected with a lot of you on LinkedIn. If not, feel free to connect with me. But current or prospective students are always asking me, what advice do you have? Like, I'm a busy person. I have so much going on at work. How did you figure this out? One of the benefits and one of the main reasons I find that people are drawn to Quantic is that you do have the opportunity to have a flexible schedule. But that can be a challenge for people as well who aren't used to having a flexible schedule. Most of us, if we are working in the corporate world, know what's expected of us day to day from a time perspective, and we kind of build our lives around that. So I have 3 tips that I give to everyone. The number 1 tip that I will stand by to this day is plan your studying. If you do not make time for something, it will not happen, and it is an aggressive schedule. You can fall behind, and you do not want to fall behind. Let me tell you, it's much better to be on par and on track. And then also, if you are on kind of schedule with everyone else in your group, you can lean on your peers to help you if you have questions or challenges. So for me, I do have a busy schedule, but I would schedule time every Saturday morning at the same time and Sunday afternoon. And that really helped me build up a discipline that I took even after Quantic, because then I was like, oh, I have all this free time. Now we can work on building my company in the same time. So that was number one. Number two is take advantage of Quantic's extensive network. It is very unique that you will have any opportunity to be part of something not only in your sector, in your company, or in your country, but globally. And one of the things that attracted me the most about Quantic was its high caliber of students. They don't just let in anyone, but also that these people were motivated and engaged. And I really wanted the chance to learn from people different than myself. For example, I've worked in technology, I've worked in fintech and a lot of other things like that, but I wanted people with diverse backgrounds that I could learn from. And that was excellent. So take advantage of its huge network, even if you are part of it, not just with your cohort, but with people in older cohorts, with alumni, with everyone else. The more you can build your sphere of influence, the better you'll have a chance at looking at the other opportunities outside of where you are today. And the third thing that I think is so cool that I don't see at a lot more traditional MBA schools that are in person and things of that nature is Quantic has so many opportunities to be part of really specific clubs or documentary meetups or things like that. And that's a chance for you to really dive in if you have specific interests, and then meet like-minded people as well. I think the older you get, it can be harder to make friends or find people. Like, I don't have time to go out and join clubs every night of things I'm interested in, but Quantic really gives you that. And you know that these are people who are intelligent and motivated as well. And I think the second part of your question was more specific to the course schedule and the different courses. So you will have, I believe, if it's still the same, 9 courses that are mandatory, and then you're allowed to choose your specializations. And if you'd like to do additional specializations, you can do that for free. So I would just say, for anyone looking to join, there's something for everyone. I know that, like, for me, especially coming from a tech background, the blockchain specialization, I found that really, really fun. I know it makes me sound very nerdy, but I know that a lot of other people found that as well. And obviously startups and entrepreneurship, that was right up my alley, but they're always building out their course catalog.
Of course, you said a lot there, so I have a lot more questions on my mind. But one of the things that just comes to mind, it was so striking to me, this experience where I met a few people who were in the same cohort. One was an architect who is very, very focused on sustainability, and a doctor of physical therapy. You joined the same group, and there was somebody there also who was involved with Amazon Alexa. And what they all were sharing is their desire to work on healthy movement. How do you integrate healthy movement into a lifestyle where you aren't just asking your home device to turn on a light, turn down the heat? Like, how do you have space that encourages healthy activities and healthy movement and a healthy lifestyle? And I thought it was so interesting. Like, where else would you have an architect partnering with a doctor of physical therapy with a common goal? So you were talking about diversity, and I would always say there's a diversity of thought, but there's also a lot of similarities, which is just working with like-minded people who are lifelong learners. I recall, Catie, you said one of your favorite things was the fact that you could always go back and repeat your coursework and stay relevant that way. And I earned a traditional MBA. I can't go back into the classroom and update myself. So that was another thing that really stood out for the people who are lifelong learners. I'm seeing a few. Oh, Catie, here's somebody who must have been in a group with you, saying also put yourself in a good group of Quantic students to bounce ideas off of and chat and support each other through the program. Catie was one of those support people for me throughout the program. And I've seen that more and more, especially in the companies. As we had spoken about, we have a lot of companies who fully fund our degree. So my team would talk with people from those companies, and there seems to be this informal community within many companies where people are choosing to mentor somebody who's new in the program and ask questions. And I know that you've been doing that unofficially. That's part of the reason you were a great fit for our advocate program. But do you have experience with that, working with other people who are interested in our program and coaching them as they get started? How important has that been for new people getting started to align themselves with a coach or a current student?
That's a great question. I think it is paramount. I think before I started this program, there wasn't the advocate program yet. So what I did was kind of my own grassroots discovery phase. And I reached out to a ton of people on LinkedIn or other people that I saw were alumni of the program. Everyone asked, what is the time commitment? How is this different from a traditional MBA? How could you do this with your workload, etc.? So I always try to be a resource for people who are interested. And if I can help just one person in the way that one person was able to help me, I think that's worth the time. And I think that typically a lot of the people who are looking to be part of a program like this might be a little bit further in their career. We all have a lot of commitments, family, things outside of what we even do at our day-to-day jobs. So people are really trying to balance, if I make this commitment, is it going to be worth it for me? And what does it really look like? So I try to be a strong resource, give as much information as I can. And I will say, Teresa, you and your team are so passionate and so excellent about helping people, whether they're a brand new student or someone interested. I think one of the most unique things about Quantic, like you mentioned, is its community aspect. And I think that anyone who's gone through this program, most people are very passionate about it. We've gotten so much out of it, and we would love to share what has been helpful to us and how we can help other people.
I think one of the things that I really, really love is our academic advising team too. So I don't know if that team was in place when you went through our program, Catie, but we have Emily on our academic advising team, and she's always there to help people. And Lisa Thompson in our career services does a wonderful job of supporting people as they go through the program. There seems to be a theme in our comments around studying. And we have Massimo who's asking a question about how challenging did you find the MBA compared to your prior degree? And did you study more by yourself or with your study buddies?
Great questions, both of those. I would say my lifestyle is so different than, I guess, 15, almost 18 years ago when I had my undergrad degree. So I was working then, but it was definitely not at a very high-powered corporate job where you're needed in a different capacity. I will say that Quantic has done a really excellent job of creating their syllabus and creating some things that are broken down enough where it's not overwhelming. You have suggested time boxes of when you should complete each lesson to make sure that you stay on track. And then you also have your scheduled exams, quizzes, things like that. So I think that I wouldn't compare it necessarily to undergrad, but I do say it's certainly doable. And the other thing is that it's technology and mobile first, which is definitely different than a lot of other traditional MBAs. So rather than having to read a book and then wait until you get tested on it, you can do things in real time. And while the information is still relevant and pertinent in your mind, I think that was really helpful. There are some courses as part of the Quantic degree will require you to either complete an individual project or a group project. So for those courses, I did a lot more group study just because I was already interacting. We were already on the same time frame of learning things at the same time. For example, finance or accounting, some things like that. But for those courses that did not have a project, especially not a group project, I did most of the studying on my own. People ask me a lot, what other resources are there? What if I get stuck? For example, accounting, I know myself too. I've gone back to the accounting module 20 times since I graduated, just for my consulting company and just to kind of run through the material again. But I will say that there are so many additional resources Quantic has. They have librarians, they have access to a lot of other articles and books, literature, things like that. And all of that is contained within the program once you're accepted. So there is never a lack of information or a lack of resources. There are also professors for each topic. So if you're really struggling with something, I know a lot of my friends and colleagues, and even myself, we struggled with accounting or some of the corporate finance just because we don't come from that background. And we reached out and got some one-on-one time or joint office hours, and that was really helpful for us. So everyone kind of has to find their rhythm of how they study. Do they study best with someone else? Do they study best on their own? But I will say Quantic makes it possible for any type of learner. You will have the resources you need. You just have to ask and go out and utilize them.
Catie, when you, and it's obvious from the chat too, that you made some connections with people throughout the program. Have you stayed in touch with anybody since you've graduated?
I definitely have. Obviously, everyone else who's part of the Advocate program, I'm very honored and proud to be part of that. I consider them my good friends and colleagues, and we like to see how we can help each other in our communities of people who are interested in Quantic. Definitely everyone from my group projects and my capstone projects, shout out to you guys if any of you guys joined. They're my good friends, and we definitely try to support each other. And then just past that, I'm always actively connecting with people who are current Quantic students, prospective students, or alumni, and just seeing how we can help one another. I think that sometimes when you reach a certain level in your career or at the company that you're at, you might feel like you've kind of networked out of where you are. There's nowhere, maybe not a lot of other people that you don't already know or things like that. The great thing about this program and this network of people is these are all people who are looking to advance themselves and advance others. And so we all kind of try to help each other. I know a lot of people ask me, what's it like at Bank of America? Or when you worked at Coca-Cola, was it like this? When you worked at Ally Financial, how did they do this type of marketing or things like that? So it's very interesting that you get to network with so many different people. And then we all, I can only speak for myself, but a lot of the experiences I've had with my other colleagues has been very similar to that.
It was interesting too to meet you in person with the other advocates and just see how easily everybody connected. You and Renee, and just it's just really interesting to see that quick connection with people who are forward thinking and always interested in learning more, staying relevant. We have a question here from Cecilia about how do we find advocate programs to join. This is the first time Cecilia has noticed it, and is there a Slack group? Our alumni advocate program is new, and it's a new initiative with Quantic. We're still building it out. The goal is really to democratize access to education and equip more people around the globe with the ability to network with one another, to accomplish with one another, to gain perspectives that they might never have the opportunity to gain otherwise. But the Advocate program is new. If you'd like to learn more, you can write to advocate@quantic.edu. You'd hear back from Jen or Laura or Jermaine, people who are supporting our Advocate team. And we aren't expanding it at the moment, but we plan to in 2023 with the help of Catie and the other 9 advocates that we got started with. We have on that team people from Google and Apple and JP Morgan Chase and Company, Adobe, Cisco Systems. We have a global director of marketing from AbbVie there. It's a really great group of advocates who have generously volunteered their time to help, but they represent our student body very well, personally and professionally. We have somebody here who says it's good to see you again. Catie, this would be a good time if anybody has any other questions for Catie or for me about Quantic to go ahead and ask those questions. I'm looking for, Catie, we have somebody here already from, I see David from Charlotte. I know who David is, so hello to David. Let's see here, Catie. What are you looking forward to in the future for your career? And how do you think your learning experience will help you get toward your future goals?
I'm looking forward to so many things. That is a great question. And I think we're coming up on the end of the year. So I always like to kind of have an end of year reflection, where I was at the beginning of the year, where I am now. Did I accomplish the goals that I set out? And what does that look like for me going forward into 2023? So I think it's perfect timing heading into the holidays for you to ask that question. I am working on a lot of exciting things. Some of them I'm not going to speak about yet today, but maybe on a future Q&A, we can talk about those projects that I'm working on. I'm definitely working on building out my consulting company, seeing where that takes me. I do a lot of technology and transformation consulting as well as business strategy. So I'm excited there. And I will say, honestly, graduating from Quantic and completing the program was really instrumental, not only for my consulting company or for my job at Bank of America or my career, but in my personal development. It gave me a lot of confidence and a lot of knowledge that I didn't have before. And I'm now making decisions from a different place than I was before. So what I think there is the old saying, like, dress for the job that you want, not the job that you have. And that's kind of old, but I would challenge everyone, educate yourself for the job that you want and the life that you want, not the job and the life that you have, because you're only one decision away from something greater. And these things have a great momentum about them. This is a great community that really supports itself. And so I will definitely stand by that. I think that being part of Quantic was such an excellent experience for me. And being part of the Advocate program, I really do believe in helping people get access to education, no matter where you come from or who you are. It's never too late to educate yourself. And the last thing I'll say about that is the time's going to pass anyway. The Quantic program is only 13 months long. Where could you be? Like, if you're looking at what you've accomplished in the past year, think of just 13 months from now. If you could think, oh, I already now have an MBA and I have all these new network connections and I have all these people thinking of me in a different way and my mindset has changed. I think that it's really, really powerful. So it's been excellent for me and I'm looking forward to the future, but I'm also enjoying the present. I think it's been a really great year and a really great experience.
You reminded me, Catie, of something. I mean, this was a fun conversation for me. I don't know if Matt Shank or Tom Adams are here at the moment, but we had a conversation quite a while ago about if we were to choose one word about what Quantic delivers, what would it be? And it was confidence, you know, and that's what you're talking about too, you know, gaining the confidence to do better where you are and the confidence to step forward into your future and increasing other people's confidence in your potential contribution and what you can do. And that begins the moment that you start learning, you know, in a different way. And Tom will say, our degree is designed to replicate the feeling of a tutor. You know, when you are in a group of 10 people or less, you learn better, you learn more effectively. And I've always enjoyed hearing him speak about that. And we have a question that kind of relates to that from Nitish. Catie, have you ever felt the need for a professor to connect over a telephone call to clarify any of your doubts or questions about the content?
I haven't personally, but Quantic does, like I mentioned, they have office hours with professors. And especially when you're going through your capstone, you do have a professor assigned to yourself or your team that you meet with regularly, and you do have live video calls with them. I think that some people like to utilize that more than others, but I never felt the need to call somebody up. And I will also say, just like we were talking about, it's so helpful when you do have the network of peers, because a lot of the questions you have, other people have, or other people know the answer to. So you guys can kind of work together to hash things out and make sure everyone understands.
We have these office hours, and I know people who attend office hours just to see what questions other people are asking and just to see who else is in the room. So there are those opportunities, but I always found it to be funny that people who don't have questions, just attend them for the fun of being there and seeing the face of somebody who helped to write the content. Here's an interesting question for you, Catie. Would you ever see the need to get a traditional MBA after earning the Quantic MBA?
Definitely not. I think it's like, would you want to go through the same knowledge that you already learned, but in a less innovative way? Is kind of how I read that question. So no, I think I sometimes when we talk about Quantic being a modern MBA, it still has all of the same information. A lot of the case studies we use are very similar to huge and well-known schools, and most MBA programs use a lot of the same case studies as well. I would say the caliber of education is excellent. I honestly oftentimes felt like everyone else, all my peers were smarter than me, right? Like a lot of people have so many credentials. People are medical doctors, PhDs, have such strong academic backgrounds. And I just felt honored to be in their presence and to be able to call them my peers. And I think that the great thing about this program and the modern part of it is you're not only going to be surrounded by the similar demographic of people regionally or socially or from their background. And that's what's great about it as well. I think that you learn so much from a diverse peer group, and that was really valuable to me. And if you are looking to up level your life or your career or even just your network and your circle of friends, I would say that having people from such a diverse background in different industries across the world is so much more valuable than what you would get if you're just going to the same classroom with the same people night over night or weekend after weekend, whatever that would look like.
That's what I did. I drove back and forth to school for 2.5 years and listened to lectures, and then went back home and studied and studied and studied on my own. It's a very different experience. We have time for one last question here, Catie. During the length of the program, do students take the classic holiday weeks off, or does everyone work at their own pace?
That's a great question.
That too.
Yeah, you can answer that.
Go ahead.
I was going to say I can only speak for my cohort, but I do know that they tailor very well to when there are holiday weeks. We did have some times that were downtime. And the other thing that I will say is they do have a course curriculum, but you never have just 1 day or 1 hour to complete something. You always have about a week. So even let's say if you have other commitments or you get sick or you have life thrown at you, which we all do, there will be plenty of time to complete it. I do suggest, like I said, scheduling your studying the best you can. Otherwise, you'll fall behind. It's an aggressive curriculum. That's why it's only 13 months. But it is structured with that in mind. And there are some of the courses that have more content than others. For example, accounting, just because a lot of people need a larger depth of knowledge, and they give you more time for those courses that are a little bit longer rather than courses that are shorter. Everything is balanced out across the curriculum.
Thank you for sharing that. And that's what I would say too, Catie. And, we have very busy executives and people who are busy at work and also busy outside of work. I've always been impressed by the balance that our students strive for. I think that's one of the things that draws them to our program is they want to participate in their life outside of work as well. So it is okay to take some time to take some days off and then catch up. So the flexibility is really tremendous. I think one of my favorite conversations ever was with a woman who has 2,000 people working for her at Amazon and just had her third baby and was able to go through her lessons while her baby was sleeping, while she was holding her sleeping baby. So, she was able to find the ability to complete her MBA during that time because it was so flexible. Anyhow, we are at our time now, and we are so thankful to all of you for joining us today. We hope that you've enjoyed our conversation. I know it was fun for me and Catie. I did see we had Cecilia, I believe that you have some questions for Catie. The best way to connect with her And really anybody who has questions beyond this chat would be to write to us at advocate@quantic.edu, and we can put you in touch. You can also give us a call. The number is +1 202 240 1400. If you call that number, a member of our team named Molly is likely to answer the phone or to give you a call back. You can also write to that same email address to set up a consult with a member of our team. And so that would be for people who haven't applied yet. Set up time to talk with somebody on our team. They're great. I'm just there to answer questions. So I think that's it. Catie, I really want to thank you. I see one last question. Can you shed some light on the coursework? What is the pedagogy? I think what I would recommend is writing to advocate@quantic.edu, and there we can send you a link so you can get a preview of over 50 course lessons just to try for yourself. So it's a great way to experiment with our pedagogy and just to enjoy our coursework that you can do mobile first on your phone or your tablet. So write in and we will definitely connect with you to get you linked up with access to those courses. Other than that, thank you so much, everybody, for your time. It's been a pleasure. And thank you, Catie.
Thank you,
Bye,
guys.
everyone. Bye.